Cece, quit hating on the drones. Recently, I had the opportunity to take a break from working on my wife's Land Rover Discovery 1 and take a trip to go wheeling in Sedona with the couple who used to live next door to us. If you've watched some of my older videos, you might recognize Rene, or rather his Jeep Grand Cherokee WJ from the trip we took to Sheepsbridge early last summer. He and his partner Candace were enjoying a getaway to Sedona as part of their vacation and invited me along for their first trip on the Broken Arrow Trail. Stick around to the end to see how well that WJ handles the Devil's Staircase. If you're looking for a trail review or more information on the Broken Arrow Trail, go ahead and click the link in the description below. That'll take you to a video that I made a while back on 3 different trails in Sedona you might find interesting. Because I got a sneaking suspicion if you clicked on this video based on the title and the description, you're here to talk about the WJ. So let's do that. But first, the time's really getting away from me here. It's 3 o'clock right now. The wife's going to be home at 5. I still got to go for a 3.5 mile walk, and I got to get dinner made. So let's multitask this. Come on with me. Those of you who watch my video on alternative budget overlanders will know that I claim the Jeep ZJ as the best budget overlander for people who just have to have a Jeep. Why then am I now laying claim to the ZJ's successor as being the best budget Jeep that isn't a Wrangler? That's because my original statement implies a certain bias on behalf of the viewer. Namely, the person who just has to have a Jeep. You see, that person's part of a certain subset of the off-roading community that I like to call the Jeeperoti. You see, the Jeeperoti view the world through a set of 7 slatted glasses, and they have a very militant view of what does and does not constitute a proper Jeep. They're also the same people who feel the need to ruggedly individualize their Jeep Wrangler JKs and JLs, just like everyone else. They're the ones who collect all the Jeep trail badges and carry on hokey trends like Duck Duck Jeep. They're the same people who would take something as basic and common as waving to another passing motorist, call it the Jeep wave, and then exclude the rest of the off-roading community because, quote, it's a Jeep thing. Sadly, that false sense of elitism doesn't end at inter-brand rivalries. For these people, outside of a few older models like the XJ and the ZJ, if it ain't a Wrangler, it ain't a Jeep. They'd never consider a WJ. This is the type of person who we poke fun at with our 4Runner. It's kind of like a Jeep but for men t-shirts. Link in the description below if you want one. It'd make a great gift for the Toyota lover in the family. We now have it in 3rd, 4th, and 5th gen 4Runner derivatives. But once you strip away this bias, the WJ actually starts to stand out as a value. Sold from 1999 to 2004, the Grand Cherokee stood as the flagship model in Jeep's lineup, with the highest trim level having an MSRP north of $35,000. That same era's top-of-the-range 2-door Wrangler Sahara could be had for under $21,000. Fast forward to today, and that same Wrangler will run you somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000, while the same Grand Cherokee, in acceptable condition, can be had for as low as $2,000 to $3,000. If you're willing to take on a bit of a project, you can find it for much less than that, too. This leaves quite a bit of money left over for repairs, maintenance, upgrades, and accessories. Of course, accessories. It's a Jeep, and you'll be a Jeep owner, and that's what Jeep owners do. They accessorize. So, if it's a fraction of the cost, does that mean it's a fraction of the good? Is it as good of an off-roader? Technically and objectively, no. At least not in factory spec. The WJ is longer, wider, heavier, has worse approach and departure angles, whereas the Wrangler has the body-on-frame construction that most hardcore off-roaders prefer. The WJ is of a unibody construction. However, for somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500, you could put a taller, more aggressive tire and a 2 or 3 inch lift on it like Rene's done with his. He's currently running a set of 255/75 R17 mud terrains with a 2.5-inch lift, which is more than enough to tame this trail. That's because underneath it all, there's quite a bit of the Wrangler's DNA in the WJ. It's got solid front and rear axles. Can be had with either a standard high-low two-wheel drive transfer case or a couple of on-demand style transfer cases. Like that era's Wrangler, it could be had with the legendary 4.0-liter straight-six engine. Rene's has this engine. I am completely jealous of this engine. I love straight sixes. I'm not going to bog you down with all the science. Just know that inline sixes are naturally balanced, meaning the only motors that are smoother run on electrons, not gasoline. Their form factor also allows for more room inside the engine bay should you need to get in and work on one. And finally, their cylinders, pistons, and rings tend to wear longer than V-shaped or horizontally opposed motors. There's a reason why every semi-truck you see going down the highway has some form of an inline six in it. The WJ could also be had with the PowerTech 4.7-liter V8, a then new single overhead cam engine design with up to 265 horsepower. This allowed some WJs to be able to tow up to 6,500 pounds. Compare that with the paltry 2,000 pound rating of the TJ Wrangler, and we segue into my next point, versatility. You see, if you're shopping in the budget category, it means you're probably someone who likes to make every dollar they spend count. You're going to have to make this vehicle make sense in your life, so it's going to be a hard pill to swallow to spend 10 grand on a weekend trail toy and not find it practical for any other purpose. A WJ has 4 doors and can seat 5 normal-sized humans. You can actually fit multiple people and gear, something you're hard-pressed to do in a 2-door Wrangler. Thanks to that unibody construction others like to mock so much, it rides and handles infinitely better on road. Most all of them came equipped with a tow package, which opens even more versatility doors. You might be saying, yeah, okay, so it's a better choice than a Wrangler, but what makes it a better choice than the ZJ? Well, age and availability. While the ZJ has more of that original Jeep DNA in it, there's just not as many of them out there. A recent search of Auto Trader showed only 45 ZJs available in the United States. That same search for 4-wheel drive WJs came back with 354 results. Plus, the youngest ZJ is 6 years older than the youngest WJ, meaning you're going to have to contend with more issues related to time and weathering. So why are they so cheap? Is there some notorious reliability issue, like with modern-day Range Rovers, that makes people not want to buy them? Well, not really. Yes, there are some common issues with some of the transfer cases. If I were in the market, I'd go for one with a Select Track transfer case. I'd also opt for the 4-liter if I didn't intend on towing on the regular. You see, the reason why they're so cheap right now is because they were always overlooked. These things were the high-end luxury models of their day. The people who bought them babied them while they took their kids to soccer practice and ran around town. Won't you be my neighbor? Then, when the kids finally started growing up, they became the second or third car that the kids drove around. Meanwhile, at the same time, people were finding out that the ZJ and the XJ were the cheap Jeeps of their day, and they became popular with the off-roading crowd. The aftermarket followed, and now these vehicles enjoy more popularity in the off-road segment, and in the XJ's case, a much higher price tag. Four-wheeling and overlanding are hot right now, and you see the prices of popular off-road models ballooning to reflect that. I feel like it's only a matter of time before people are going to start realizing WJs for the value that they are, and their pricing will start to follow suit, so if you want one, I'd start looking now. Well, that changes everything. She's on her way home. I'm gonna have to get ready really quick, so I'm not gonna have time to vlog this. Guess I'm just gonna have to go ahead and make this the quick change. In the end, I think the WJ is a great value, not just for a Jeep. In fact, it might be the greatest value in off-road vehicles right now in the moment. Which leads us to one of the comments we got last time we took a trip with Rene's WJ and my 4Runner. A viewer said you can't compare a unibodied glorified car to the body-on-frame 3rd-gen 4Runner, referencing what's already been mentioned in this video about the unibody versus body-on-frame comparison. And he was right. You probably can't make a comparison between the two. They're different sizes. They have different drivetrains. They have different front axles. About the only commonality they have is that they both have four-wheel drive. But that's not what I take issue with. What I take issue with is calling a vehicle that can descend the devil's staircase effortlessly without breaking anything a car. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Kester. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Frugal Explorer Dad. Hey, and while you're at it, check out our new Instagram account, Secondhand Overland, where we are working on featuring more budget-friendly overlanding content. Tag us with hashtag SecondhandOverland with a picture of your rig. We'd love to check it out and maybe feature it. Until next time, be good.